the best time to send an email that'll get the most people reading it, looking at your lovely content, and of course, clicking and buying? Look, I've tested the heck out of this, and no, the answer is not just whatever you can as long as it gets done. There are some very specific times that work better than anything, and that's what we're going to talk about. Let's go. How long do you think someone actually spends, on average, reading your emails? The answer is pretty shocking. It's on average between 10 and 13 seconds. And that is it. Between 10 and 13 seconds, and they are out of there. And here's the thing. The timing that you actually send your emails, when you actually send them, is really, really important, because the vast majority of the emails that you send will be opened within the first 1 hour. You've got 60 minutes. So if you send this email at the wrong time, when most people are not paying attention, are less likely to actually be wanting to open your emails, then you are losing most of the impact. That makes sense, right? Because after an hour, more emails pile up on top of them, which reduces how much we prioritize them or how important we think they are, and we're more likely to ignore them. So we really do need to get the timing of this right. And I've done a lot of investigation on this, and I've also taken the average stats. And as you might imagine, if you know anything about me at all, you'll know that I've tested them, and I found something out to be different from the average. But before we get any further into this, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe buttons here on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, because that'll really help me to grow this brand new channel. And if you're not watching on YouTube, by the way, if you're only listening on the podcast, come and head over to YouTube. That's where all the action's at. You get to see my lovely face and all the work that we put into making this show absolutely gorgeous in spite of my lovely face. Here's the crack. The research, first of all, and then I'll show you what I actually found to be true in a lot of extensive testing over the last few months. So I've been testing, sending at different times and leaving slightly more than 24 hours between emails and doing all kinds of strange tests to see what will help with email deliverability, and in particular with getting at that primary inbox, okay? So best times. The world, the internet, and all these service providers have done the research, and they came back with some interesting numbers. Let me have a little look at them here. So for generally, they think on weekdays, Monday to Friday, around 4 p.m., between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. really works very, very well. And then weekends throws a bit of a curveball to be 8 a.m., between 7 and 9 a.m. on average, right? That's really quite interesting to be thinking about. Now, I think that's something that a lot of people have followed and have seen some results from. But here's what I decided to test out. I thought, that's great, and that might just be because there's more significant data at those times. We don't know how it's going to work for different types of businesses. The first thing is you should, of course, go and test this stuff in your business and see what actually yields the best results for you, your niche, your audience, the location they're in. But here's a really interesting thing that happened, and this is really curious. So I'm a morning person. I'm one of those annoying people who wakes up at 5 a.m., sometimes by choice, sometimes by cat. And by a cat, I mean a swipe in the face, a meow in the ear, and that's me leaping out as if I'm being burglarized. So I get up in the morning. I'm an early morning person, and I tend to stand at the kitchen counter and write my email of the day right there and then while my kettle is boiling or my tea is brewing or something like that. And then what I do is I schedule it to go out at about 7 a.m. And the reason I found this works so well, there's a bunch of reasons. First of all, if people know when to expect your email, it becomes a habit. So one of the things I noticed was by changing up the time of a day of the email, that my readership actually sort of fluctuated a lot and on average was a bit lower. Right? I'm talking about 6% lower over that period of time. So whereas if I flip it back to consistently sending an email at the same time, for me it was 7 a.m., I found my readership increased. If the frequency and the fact that it's always at the same time, maybe. But then the next phase comes through to what is significant about 7 a.m. 7 a.m. is before people start work. It's before they perhaps have left to get into the car to drive and do the commute to work. It's potentially while they're sat at the breakfast breakfast table. It's the most important meal of the day. By the way, that's the most important meal of the day is marketing. It's something that Kellogg's invented to sell us breakfast cereal. It's never the most important meal of the day. Anyway, there's no proof of that apart from the marketing. Kicking and screwing back to the point, yes, it becomes a habit for them, but also they actually start their day with you. It's before they get distracted with everything else. There's no distractions. They're not already having the input from other people, okay? And here's the thing. I think one of the more important points is, yes, it becomes a habit for them. Yes, they start their day with you. Yes, there's no other distractions. But also, if it's at the same time every day, it becomes a habit for you. The easiest way to be more consistent with anything is to link it to an existing habit. It's called habit stacking, right? And for me, it's while I've flicked on the kettle on the kitchen bench and I'm waiting for it to boil, my laptop, I just grab it, I flip it open, and I write up the email. I've linked the action of writing the email with boiling the kettle. So you find an existing activity you're already doing and link that to the new action you want to take. And what's amazing is that means people are in this habit. People are starting their day with you. People are not distracted and you're actually getting it sent. So I'm going to suggest that the best time of day for you to send out an email is 7 a.m. But 7 a.m. where? So then we get into this interesting discussion around, should we be sending emails using technology that allows the email to land in people's inboxes at 7 a.m. at their local time? And the answer is, if you can do that, awesome, do it. But if you can't, for whatever reason, the technology doesn't allow you to, you're doing something which actually has to go out at the same time for everybody, like a launch or a thing that's going to close, something like that, then you can't. But if you can, set it to local time, and if it's accurate, which in general sort of space it is, of course, if the person's traveling away from where they normally are, then you're not going to really know that time. But if you can sort of give it a rough estimate to be around that time, then great. So again, you can use technology to do that. So really think about this 7 a.m. as a really key time. Of course, one of the best ways that I know of to be sending an email at the moment and somebody needs it is to have an email that is reactive to them doing something. And this is huge, right? This is huge. As soon as somebody joins your email list, you want to send them the first welcome email of a whole sequence of welcome emails at that time, because you know they're online. You know they are checking their emails. In fact, if you click this link up here, you can go to my video, which is all about how to create a welcome sequence and is completely automated, which accelerates trust and actually makes sales. I've had amazing feedback from this, so definitely go check out that video, and I will see you next week.